In this video, we're going to be looking over this Olympus Infinity Zoom 35mm point-and-shoot film camera. And my goal here is to put it through the kinds of tests that you would want to see if you were holding it in your own hands, inspecting it, making an assessment of condition. And in order to do that, I have a battery and a scrap roll of film. These are just for our testing, they're not included with the sale. But let's get started and load the battery. It's a type 1, 2, 3, and we open the battery compartment right here. We can see it's nice and clean, and we put the battery in like that and close the door. The door closes nicely. Then we can open the back of the camera, and before we load the film, let's just look at this in general. Nice optics here, looks real nice and clean. Everything looks good around the edges here and around the door. I see some isolated areas where they have put in some foam for light seals. I don't see any evidence of it printing off onto mating surfaces, and the foam that's here that's around the film window feels good, so I'm assuming that the rest of it is too. It looks pretty good. The pressure plate looks good. And so let's get started with the film testing by putting our roll of film in on this side, the little take-up, the tail in the take-up section over there. We'll close this. You hear the motor winding. So now if I pull the cover over, the lens extends. It's ready for picture number 1. Now I'm going to test the flash first by, we're just going to set it where it forces it to flash. So now we'll just put this here, point that over there, and we saw the flash go off. Now I'm going to put it in the where no flash icon shows, where it now makes a decision whether or not it flashes. And first we'll point it right here. It did not flash. But now, holding it in the same position, I'm going to turn off this front light so it's darker here. And then it did flash. So we can see it's sensing the level of light and making the determination whether or not it needs to flash. Let's extend the lens here and retract that for the zoom range. That looks good. Now we're going to test the self-timer. There's a little button right here, makes a little timer show up there, meaning that it's ready for the timer mode. And so I'm going to also set this to not flash, just so that it's not wasting battery power or time for that. Then we'll just put this over here and point that at us, and see now the little light is flashing, and so we'll just let that run and finish its cycle. And we saw the lens move to focus, and the shutter went off, and the film advanced onto picture number 5. That's pretty much what I need to show here, so I'm going to just pop off the rest of the pictures. This was a very short roll. 6, 7, and that was it. So now it's rewinding. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it'll wind a little bit past that to make sure it's wound all the way back. The flashing E means that it's now safe to open up the back and unload our camera. All the film is now back in this housing, and if this were a real roll of film, we'd have that processed. I'm going to uninstall this battery since that's not included, but then we'll just take a quick visual look of the rest of the camera. The bottom looks quite nice. Not a lot of evidence of pecking around the tripod socket, so a little bit but not much. The end looks nice. The top looks nice. This side looks nice, and the back looks nice. And the cover looks nice, and it's got this strap that is an official Olympus strap, and it has on the end a little tool here that's marked Olympus, And that could just be used for pushing some of these buttons if you wanted to, or the one that's recessed is the, if you want to rewind the film early, you need something like this to poke down in there. And so that would do that. Not something you do very often, but it's there. So all in all, a very nice example of the Olympus Infinity Zoom 70, and we've just seen that it seems perfectly functional.